There we go again. New Starship launch date details. What happened to Ship 26? We have the Vulcan Centaur launch date and ABL Space is back in the game. My name is Felix. Welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Here at Starbase, you can feel the anticipation for the launch building, especially after the wet dress rehearsal conducted on October 24th. For the first time since the maiden flight, Starship was loaded to the brim with liquid oxygen and methane. This test went flawless. And would you be surprised that if I told you merely 2 days later, Ship 25 was back on the ground? Guess the culprit? The hot staging ring, of course. The very next day, they hooked up a specialized lifting jig for the LR-11000 crane, taking the entire structure back to the ground level. This time, whatever had to be done was finished rather quickly, as the ring was back on the booster on October 28th, hinting that Ship 25 might soon be airborne. Who knows, perhaps it's already there by the time you're watching this. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, witnessing the Starship frequent stacking and destacking raises some eyebrows. But on the flip side, it gives SpaceX invaluable experience. I mean, which other company has the capabilities to assemble the world's largest rocket in barely over an hour? At Starship, it's basically ready for its second attempt. All eyes are on the FAA's pending approval. Interestingly, after the recent hearing regarding the licensing process, there has been noticeable uptick in the activity from the Fish and Wildlife Services. Their people are now a common sight at Starbase, likely researching the environmental impact of the water deflector. One might assume the water from this system would be harmless. However, considering that it potentially morphs into industrial-grade water, especially after interacting with hydraulic oils and other chemicals used on the tower, the assessment becomes necessary. Let's hope that the environmental impact is minimal, ensuring smooth sailing for future launches. Curiously, the FWS recently shared a tidbit regarding the ongoing situation. They officially began their consultation with the FAA on October 19th and have a window of up to 135 days to reach the verdict. However, there is no reason to panic yet. In the statement, the agency reassures us that they will likely conclude all the work earlier than this deadline. It might be imminent, a month away, or even a few months away. Patience is the only way we can get through this. I don't expect it to take that long. There is a promising hint on the horizon. The latest notice to mariners introduces a new no earlier than or NET date, November 6th. It's a day when boats are cautioned to steer clear of the Starship's trajectory. It might be a simple placeholder, but at least it is something. An even juicier clue hinting at a launch in November is the booking of a WB-57 aircraft. This high-altitude plane, which transitioned from a bomber to a scientific research vessel, can fly up to an altitude of 20 kilometers or 60,000 feet. Now you might wonder, Felix, why are you talking about some plane? Why does that matter? A WB-57 was employed during Starship's debut flight to capture aerial footage. While the visuals might not have been as cinematic as some had hoped, they undoubtedly offered priceless insights for the SpaceX engineering team. An imagery support slot for this aircraft is scheduled from November 3rd to the 10th, potentially hinting at a Starship launch window. But as always, until the word is officially out, we're left to speculate. When do you predict Starship will take to the skies? Place your bets in the comments. The anticipation for the launch is high, especially as the barrier around the launch facility continues to rise at a surprising pace. New rebar structures are added almost daily, with rumor being that the wall will stand at an impressive 8 meters or roughly 26 feet tall. So no more insane ground shots of static fires, at least not from the side of the road. The wall starts from the suborbital section, where Ship 26 recently said its goodbye to venture into the rocket garden. After successfully executing the deorbit burn static fire on October 26th, the prototype has been waiting to leave the launch site. And on October 27th, it did just that. Ship 26, mounted atop 2 SPM-3 transporters, made its way towards the build site. Thanks to Redline Heli, we were able to conduct a flyover at precisely the right moment, getting a bird's eye view of Ship 26 cruising on Highway 4. Want to book your own ride at Starbase and see these things in person, or just enjoy one of the coolest views in the world? Go to redlineheli.com/Felix. You'll find the link in the description. After flying myself for the first time, I recommend it even more. It is just insane. With Ship 26 now residing in the Rocket Garden, its fate remains uncertain. Its deviation from the typical test campaign might be a hint that SpaceX won't launch it at all. This could indicate that Ship 26 might soon meet its end, much like Ship 27 did some time back. But Ship 26 isn't the sole attraction in the Rocket Garden. Alongside 3 other ships and a booster, there is an intriguing prototype on display. Speculations are that it's likely a mock-up of the interior of a human landing system. For those living under a rock, Starship plays a pivotal role in NASA's Artemis program. It is set to function as a lunar lander, with a crew onboarded as soon as the Artemis 3 mission in 2025. Granted, that's a very optimistic timeline. In a recent conversation with Spaceflight Now, Dr. Lisa Watson, head of NASA's Human Landing System, or HLS program, shared some insights regarding SpaceX's lunar lander. While NASA appears to be in full support of SpaceX's approach to development, there are underlying concerns about their ability to adhere to the scheduled timeline. Before humanity's next giant leap to the moon, NASA anticipates SpaceX to conduct between 15 and 17 Starship launches. That would mean at least 7 or 8 flights in 2024. I'm getting excited. This might seem unachievable at first, but we're talking about SpaceX here. Once the ball starts rolling, things will get even crazier really fast. One of the biggest points regarding the HLS program is SpaceX's ambition to master the propellant transfer technology between the ships. Without it, there will be no way to actually get to the moon. The current projection is that this will be achieved in 2024 by conducting multiple launches from various launch pads. You know what this means, right? We may see a launch from Florida within a year from now. Interestingly, just a week ago, SpaceX was testing a docking system bringing together Starship, the Gateway, and the Orion spacecraft. Their engineers are also deep into developing the thrusters necessary for the moon landing. Yet another confirmation that the Raptors won't be used to land on the silver globe. Though our eyes can't always see every move at Starbase, rest assured there is a hive of activity unfolding behind the scenes. I recommend diving into the complete article for more intriguing tidbits, especially about Blue Origin's role in the Artemis saga. The link's available in the description below. Circling back to Starbase, as we hover above the Sanchez site, you cannot miss the 4 massive rings near the site's entrance. If you're pondering why the white engine installation stand seems nearly done, that's because it was. After these images were taken, it found its new home in the first megabay. Turns out we were right. SpaceX indeed wants to have 2 such stands at the back of each building. Preparations for the stand for the second megabay are already underway, as evidenced by the phone booth-looking sections assembled into a ring. The Raptor lifting platform was also transported to the megabay. Unexpectedly, it looks like these engine stands have clamps that bear a striking resemblance to those seen on the black stands. This indicates that these clamps aren't exclusively for test stands. Speaking of which, the first of 2 stands is now fully equipped with its 20 clamps, hinting that it's close to being finished. You might wonder about their final destination. To shed some light on that, let's pivot to the Massey's test site. Take a look at this photo. Do you see it? Look closely. Yes, these are subcoolers. These devices, which are essentially heat exchangers, utilize liquid nitrogen to further reduce the temperature of the propellant used by the Starship. The principle here is pretty straightforward. The colder the liquid oxygen and methane, the more of it you can fit inside the rocket's tank. It shrinks when getting colder. The addition of subcoolers to Massey's is a huge deal. Here is why. One possibility is that they will be used to supercool liquid oxygen, allowing for engine chill and spin primes. Alternatively, SpaceX might decide to add methane tanks to Massey's, paving the way for static fires on site. We can already see some signs of expansion, as 4 pedestals are in the works to accommodate 2 additional tanks. These will likely increase the liquid nitrogen capacity, as you need lots of it for the aforementioned subcoolers. There's also a lot of vacant space towards the rear of the site. It's possible that this spot might be used for the black stand from Sanchez, enabling engine tests. While sprint prime tests are rather straightforward, igniting the engines would undoubtedly necessitate substantial changes to the site. Integrating a water deflector here seems improbable, given the need for an additional set of tanks and the complicated infrastructure that would come with it. SpaceX might instead lean towards excavating a flame trench. Given that everything would be constructed from scratch, this endeavor wouldn't be as daunting as digging one at the launch site. The question is the available space sufficient to accommodate a trench, and is it even possible due to the very high water table? We'll just have to wait for more clues. However, Massey's could evolve in the future beyond just being a hub for cryogenic tests. On the topic of testing at Massey's, it is hard not to miss the tallest structure here, Booster 11. Since its arrival on October 12th, it underwent cryogenic tests on both the 13th and the 18th. If you've been watching the previous episode by now, you should know what a frost line is. So it should be clear that during the first test, the SpaceX team filled the methane tank. The subsequent test on the 18th focused on the bottom liquid oxygen tank. Based on what we've seen previously, the next logical step would be a combined test involving both the oxygen and methane tanks. Upon its conclusion, we can anticipate the prototype to be transported back to the Mega Bay for engine installation. Recently, the aft section of Ship 27 was removed from the so-called nose cone jail, a test stand that mimics the peak dynamic pressure experienced during flight. The fact that it remained intact suggests that it aced the test. Meanwhile, work continues on the E-dome test tank at the designated blast area. In the past, a number of test tanks were pushed to their limits here. This one may soon join the fallen ones. Successful tests could result in SpaceX moving towards incorporating these new domes into Starships, allowing for better space usage and simplifying assembly. The burning question remains, will this be a push to destruction or merely a standard cryogenic pressure test? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read as many as I can. Here's a little task for you. YouTube might have unsubscribed you unknowingly. Not kidding, they seem to do this frequently. Very important task, double check that subscribe button so that you don't miss our updates. While you're checking, hit the like button and consider becoming a wise supporter for exclusive SpaceX updates. Everyone gets the same perks regardless of your contribution. With it, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries, now including aerial and ground photos of SpaceX's progress and countless other extras on top. The next flyover will likely happen on the day you watch this episode. No matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. The link to our Patreon page is in the description. Thanks to all the supporters who help fulfill dreams for our team. We can't thank you enough. You rock. Link 2 is giving you the opportunity to invest in the future of human spaceflight. Axiom Space, the only company that will be building a private space station in collaboration with NASA and creating the lunar EVA suits for the Artemis program, is now available to invest in on the Link 2 platform. Private equity used to be restricted to just the ultra-wealthy, but Link 2 has changed the game, removing barriers for every investor. All you have to do is sign up to get started. Link 2 is committed to democratizing access to private equity investments on a global scale. Now, we're not financial advisors, you should totally get one though, but what gives me peace of mind is that Link 2 always invests in the companies first and only offers companies that they can fully stand behind. Link 2 has skin in the game. Consider starting your private equity portfolio today, and Y viewers get a special $500 discount. Scan the QR code on your screen or go to link2.com/y to secure your $500 discount off your first investment into any of the leading space tech companies on Link 2. Link 2, private investing made simple. After enduring months of delays, we finally received some uplifting updates regarding United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket. Check this out. The journey to developing the Vulcan, ULA's successor to the legendary Atlas V, hasn't been particularly smooth. But most rocket developments aren't. Originally set for its debut in 2019, the rocket's maiden flight was shifted to 2021. Yet the saga of delays continued. The primary payload for the rocket, Astrobotic's Peregrine lunar lander, wasn't ready on time. However, the biggest issue was a delay in the delivery of the two BE-4 engines for the rocket's first stage. caused by development issues at Blue Origin. As the anticipated launch shifted to 2023, we finally saw some signs of real progress. A tanking test was successfully conducted in March, followed by a short static fire test in June. The rocket was ready for final integration of its payload, right? Simultaneously, ULA was conducting a rigorous verification process, testing Vulcan's components to their limits at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama. During a pressure test of the Centaur 5 upper stage, something went wrong. The forward dome developed a crack, resulting in a hydrogen leak. One tiny spark later, the whole test stand was engulfed in flames. This alarming incident was revealed to us in test footage shared by ULA CEO Tory Bruno himself. It turned out that the upper stage had a critical design flaw, and alarmingly, the one scheduled to launch in Florida also had it. After the June test firing, the Centaur 5 upper stage was destacked and transported back to ULA's Alabama facility. Here it underwent a thorough overhaul. The flight hardware and insulation were removed, followed by the replacement of the forward dome with a reinforced one. After pressure testing, the Centaur 5's insulation was reapplied, followed by the installation of the outside components. While we've summarized it briefly here, in reality this process took several months to complete. Currently, the improved Centaur 5 is undergoing its last inspections before making its way back to Florida. On October 26th, the Vulcan booster was lifted at the vertical integration facility. Once the upper stage arrives, it will take only a couple of days to assemble the rocket. With that, we finally have the launch date for certification flight number 1. The launch window starts on December 24th and lasts until December 26th. Here's hoping it doesn't interrupt with Santa's deliveries. Assuming the maiden flight ends successfully, the second certification flight is slated for the first half of 2024. Where Vulcan will lift Sierra Space's Dream Chaser. Following this, the rocket will undertake the mission it was mainly designed for, launching national security space payloads. Tory Bruno has set the ambitious target of 7 launches in 2024 and doubling that figure by mid-2025. The ultimate goal, a launch every 2 weeks by the end of 2025. However, ULA isn't the sole player gearing up for a launch. ABL Space, a California-based company, is another contender in the arena. Meet the RS-1, a rocket that's something between Rocket Lab's Electron and Alpha's Firefly. This 2-stage vehicle fueled by liquid oxygen and rocket propellant 1, known as kerosene, can lift up to 1,350 kilograms or nearly 3,000 pounds into a low Earth orbit. Or at least it will be able to do so once it reaches orbit. In January 2023, RS-1's inaugural launch didn't go as planned. While the rocket did lift off from the pad, a mere 20 seconds later it came back. Someone pressed the return to launch site button. An onboard fire compromised the rocket's electrical system, leading to a premature engine shutdown. With an overwhelming 95% of its propellant still in the tanks, the rocket's descent to the launch pad was followed by a colossal explosion. An explosion on the pad is arguably the worst-case scenario during a launch. A mid-flight failure, though unfortunate, allows the company to quickly get back to work on the next one. But when a rocket detonates at the launch site, it often decimates everything close to it. This means not only the launch mount, but also most of the ground support systems, communication equipment, and even the storage hangar with all its tooling got destroyed. This mishap must have been heartbreaking to all the dedicated engineers behind the RS-1. However, showing perseverance, ABL didn't give up. Yes! A recent update from the company showcased the advancements made after the fateful launch. The company decided to move on to RS-1 Block 2, essentially the rocket's second generation. This upgraded variant boasts a 20% thrust increase, carries 20% additional propellant, features a removable first-stage aft module, and incorporates modular engines. Such upgrades simplify the rocket's maintenance and allow scaling up the production. To address the issues faced in the initial launch, they've designed a taller launch mount. It is hypothesized that the rocket's proximity to the ground during its first flight might have resulted in gas entering the engine section, triggering the fire. By August, the rocket's upper stage successfully underwent a flight-like static fire at the Mojave test facility. Recently, RS-1 undertook what's called a dock dress, an interesting approach to rocket testing. At their California facility, they've integrated a unique feature, an in-the-house launch mount. This means the rocket can be pieced together and erected right next to the factory itself. Such a setup simplifies the testing phase, enabling the detection of manufacturing flaws before transporting the rocket. Currently, RS-1 Block 2 is going through the last phase of quality checks. Once this phase wraps up, both the rocket and the essential ground support equipment will be shipped to Kodiak Island, Alaska. Upon arrival, RS-1 will undergo another round of assembly. Following a brief static fire, it will be ready for its second launch attempt, which is anticipated to occur sometime in 2024. I'm genuinely optimistic that with the number of changes implemented, ABL's upcoming flight will be able to reach orbit. It is great to see a company that learns from its mistakes, and I'm eagerly awaiting RS-1's next liftoff. That's it for today. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store, link is in the description, and if you want to train your space IQ even further, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. And the sweat is going in my face. Oh, Astro Bucket, yeah. The colder they go. It is so cool to record this from here.